claim, and we're just setting up an LLC. When we take that case, first of all, we want to make sure that the client is a good guy. We look at that very carefully. We won't do it for a crook, and we won't do it for somebody who's had a Ponzi scheme. We won't do it for somebody who we don't think has a degree of integrity. And then we want to look too at what the asset is that's being placed into the LLC. Is it can we make a legitimate argument that that this asset should have been placed in the LLC before, from the beginning? Is there a reason for it?
I've got a client who, in the state plans were required to her come in. She lent her brother-in-law $9 million, unsecured note. Right after she lent the brother-in-law the money, and her sister, the brother-in-law and the sister, most of their wealth was in real estate. They put all their real estate Q-perks and irrevocable gift giving trusts in LLCs, and then leveraged their stock accounts and have promissory notes back on those and put those in irrevocable trusts. I mean, is that considered a fraudulent transfer for them to do that right after that? I mean, like within like 6 months after they borrowed all this money?
The question is, if somebody loaned us a significant amount of money to their brother and sister-in-law, who then made up a lot of irrevocable trust, LLCs, and everything else. The answer, and the question is that a fraudulent transfer? Well, yes and no. Certainly, you can take the position it is. But let me ask you a question. If you are if you're a litigator and you're representing your client and you're going against what the brother-in-law and sister-in-law, if you're in settlement negotiations, what would you demand a higher amount of settlement if they had not done what they did and they just owned it in their own name?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, in this position, since they've done all this stuff, obviously my client would settle for a lot less if we could bring the trusts to the LLCs and stuff.
Doesn't mean it's not a fraudulent transfer.
Right, right.
What it means is, though, that it's going to take a lot of time and effort and money and legal fees for you to bust that. And they probably, from what you're saying, the things that they did probably would have enough of a non-asset protection touch to them that it's not going to be something that's criminal, and it's not going to be something that is, a conspiracy kind of thing. So I think that you're probably in a situation where you're going to have to go along, and you're going to probably have to settle on a lot less, and there's going to be a difficulty in imposing that. Even though, in the end, you could maybe turn everything aside. You could maybe do it. But it's going to take a lot of time and effort and money. Yeah?
And I think that's true even when you're dealing with governmental entities. Years ago, I was representing the state of Idaho on a claim against a Ponzi scheme person. And we had our case laid out, and then they filed bankruptcy. And both the bankruptcy trustee, even though the case was laid out, and the state kind of lost their interest. And sometimes people change in power in deciding these decisions on whether or not to litigate. And so I agree with